Welcome to Inspired Living with Marc and Kim. Every Wednesday, Marc and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Marc and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Marc and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Good afternoon, inspired listeners. Welcome to Inspired Living with Marc and Kim. So thankful to have all of you here with us today and every Wednesday. But I have to say that these are one of my favorite shows to do. It's when we open up the phone lines, we connect with our audience, we get to know who it is you are on a personal level, whether it is you're calling in to ask questions about spirituality or needing some support with a reading, because we're going to be doing that today too. And quite honestly, I just have a blast doing that. I love it. The time goes by so fast, and then when we come to an end, it's like, oh my gosh, I was just getting going. But we're here again. Our plans are to do this at least once a month, so we look forward to that. Today is the first Wednesday of May already. The time is flying back. We're heading into the summer months, and it's an exciting time. But first, I'm Kim Falcon, founder of my bicoastal spiritual practice, Love First, where life transformations happen in the beautiful Richmond, Virginia, and Encino, California, and where the goal is to raise consciousness one soul at a time. And if there's anything that I can do to help support you in the way of readings, energy healings, or hypnotherapy, you can find me at lovefirst.info. I would love to hear from you. I would love to work with you. Just a couple of announcements. I just posted a couple of videos on my YouTube channel. One is on releasing karmic ties and expanding our life's contract. The other one I just posted is called Animal Totems, Signs, and Synchronicities, where I talk about the many different ways our universe communicates with us, if only we take the time to notice. The videos that I do are really in place just to share my experiences on different topics and things that I go through in my own personal life that hopefully can assist someone else out there, maybe going through the same thing or just simply interested in learning about a topic. I have a whole lot of fun doing them, and I hope you enjoy them too. So without further delay, I'm excited to introduce my partner in crime, Marc Lanehart, the intuitive prospector up in Seattle, Washington. Marc, how are you?
Hi, Kim. Hi, inspired listeners. I'm doing really well. It's nice to be back on the air together. We've had a couple weeks where we just had different guests, or we were traveling, or vacation, or spring break, and it's been about a month or so since we've had our last show together, I believe.
Yeah, I was just as I was saying, it's nice to introduce you and have you on. I thought, I feel like it's been forever, but I didn't realize it's been a month. My goodness.
Yeah, it's already the month of May, and thanks for introducing me.
Yes, well, goodness, it's nice to be back with you.
Yeah, so like I said, it's been just kind of a crazy period of time where the time just seems to be going really quickly. We've had a lot of shows. Like I said, I was traveling last week, and you were traveling, and we do try to get together once a month if we can, depending on our schedule, and have this open phone lines for all of our inspired listeners around the globe. So we just want to thank all of you for tuning into the live broadcast. I am Marc Lanehart, the Intuitive Prospector, the Seattle Seer here in Seattle, Washington. If you want to learn more about the work that I'm doing, the events I'm holding, here in Seattle. You can visit marklanehart.com. You can easily do an internet search for the Intuitive Prospector, do a little of your own spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold, and I'm easily found here in the Pacific Northwest. I do have my first Forest Friday hike coming up. That's going to be Friday, May 11th. We're going to be meeting at Inner Alchemy here in Seattle. Looking forward to getting out in nature. It's always fun when the weather turns nice here in Seattle because it's some of the most beautiful weather, some of the most beautiful mountains for hiking and diving. So I wanted to let folks know that the first Forest Friday is coming up in May and another one scheduled in June. Stay tuned for more information on that. You can always catch me on my Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. That's every Monday morning through Facebook Live starting at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. It's a 30-minute show dedicated to inspiration, spiritual guidance, and just having a spiritual chat, and then stick around for the Q&A after show, which follows immediately after starting at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you'd like to subscribe to my playlist on YouTube, I know Kim and I are really trying to grow our YouTube videos and get more interactive with our videos. You can visit my playlist. Just look for the Intuitive Prospector. There's a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. 3 seasons of Inspired Living Radio, 2 seasons of Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, a lot of hiking videos, some underwater scuba diving videos, and just a lot of fun. Like I said, I've got over 160 videos on that playlist now, so I've been building that up for the last few years, and I'd love to have you come on board and do a little prospecting with me. So make sure to subscribe to that YouTube playlist. So right now we're going to be opening up the phone lines because today's show is dedicated to you, the inspired listener, or what we like to say, you are the inspired and the inspiration for Inspired Living Radio. If you have not already joined our Facebook page, please go onto Facebook and look for Inspired Living Radio. Ask to join the Inspired Living community. We're getting close to, we're over 1,100 inspired listeners all around the world. If you have a question for us today and you may be a little shy and you don't want to come on the live internet radio that's broadcasting all around the world, you can post your question directly to our Facebook page. I am monitoring that right now, and we will bring it live to air. So if you're looking for a free reading, a little bit of spiritual guidance, even if you just want to, say hello, please send us a Facebook message or post on the page, and we'll give you an inspired listening shout out. If you missed the live show today, don't worry. Don't sweat it. We've got encore shows all throughout the week here on the OMTimes Radio Network. That is our internet-based radio show here in our 3rd season. You can also catch all the encore shows that go over to other platforms, including YouTube, SoundCloud, marklanehart.com, lovefirst.info, iTunes, and Podbean. Those are the major outlets for where all the encore shows are streaming. And again, you can catch 3 seasons with amazing topics, amazing guests that we've had over the last 3 seasons. And if you want to interact with us through the social media platform, again, our main page is Inspired Living Radio on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Look for the handle Inspired For Us. That is the number 4. We're also found on Google Plus Communities. And our live call-in line, I want to get that number. You might want to write this down. The live call-in, this is going to be for the U.S. only. If you're outside of the United States, part of our global audience, make sure to visit our Facebook page and post your question there. The call-in for OMTimes Radio is 1-202-570-7057. That is the call-in line here in the United States. And with everything, every month we've been doing a positive affirmation, so this is no different for the month of May here on, I guess it's May 2nd? Yeah. And the positive affirmation for this month is, I refuse to give up because I haven't tried all possible ways. So this month we're going to be focusing on positive thinking, positive ways I am, and really focused in on not giving up because you haven't tried all possible ways. So this month's positive affirmation is sponsored by Prime My Body affiliate Hemp Awareness, From Soil to Oil, and one of the best patented nano-enhanced hemp oils on the market. This unique liposomal delivery system of liquid gold in the tissues of the human body at the cellular level with no psychoactive highs, all natural and legal in all 50 states, will have you feeling the positive, powerful, pure, pain-free healing effects from the roots of this amazing and ancient plant, hemp. From hemp oil, hemp-infused skin moisturizer, hemp protein superfood, or a simple body detoxification system, why not begin today and start achieving optimal health and wellness for your journey? Your health is your wealth. For more information, please visit awareness.primemybody.com. and they are the sponsorship this month for our Inspired Living Positive Affirmation. So, Kim, let's open up the phone lines. Let's have a spiritual chat. Let's have a fun show because this does go quick before we get to our first break here. So, what is going on?
Oh, goodness, Mark. I tell you what, I mean, I'm trying to share all of what's going on with me on a personal, spiritual level in my YouTube videos. And every day and every moment, I feel like I'm learning something. It's like constantly being in a classroom, of lessons and learning and connecting the dots and greater understanding, and also a lot of releasing. Releasing, that's a big one for me these days. And it's not always the most comfortable thing. Yeah.
When you say releasing of just old ways of thinking, releasing of people, releasing of maybe go into detail. What kind of things so our inspired listeners can relate? Because I feel the same way. I feel like I've done a lot of transformation and releasing.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of releasing of people anymore because my world has gotten really small in the last, I don't know, couple of years, which I guess is what tends to happen when you're focusing a lot on your soul. Yeah. When you focus on your soul, that happens. Activities that once used to be in alignment aren't in alignment, or that you used to enjoy is not just really who you are anymore. Certainly relationships can have the tendency to fall away too. So all kinds of stuff can move out of your experience because you're bringing things into alignment. But so I don't have that many people to choose from anymore, Mark. That means that everybody that's in my experience is meant to be there, which is a good thing. It's mostly, what did I say? It's mostly beliefs, old constructs, within me, and it happens sometimes even on when I'm not aware of it, but then I feel like for example, about a week ago, the other night, I woke up in the middle of the night. And I just noticed this kind of uneasy feeling within me. It was a little fear-based of, I don't know, uncertainty, uncomfortability. And I wasn't sure what was going on there. Where did this come from? It was similar to just, when you wake up in the middle of the night, you get scared about something in your life, right? Whatever that may be. Wherever that fear may come from. Well, I wasn't sure where this fear was coming from and why it was there. And so I, had a conversation with my higher self, as I always tend to do these days. What's this all about? I don't understand this, because it doesn't feel good when you're lying in bed in the middle of the night in darkness, and those feelings come up. So you just got to acknowledge them, and then you got to just say, well, what is this about? Where is this coming from? So when I did that, I just learned that the old ways of, beliefs and the old constructs within me that used to keep me together and hold me up, that foundation is coming down, so, and letting go of that stuff. And so that's where I was feeling a little wobbly. It's like when your old foundation starts to go, it's like, oh my gosh, and what's going to hold me up? I'm feeling a little wobbly here. Yeah. What's keeping me pulled together here? And what will keep you pulled together is the new foundation that you're forming. The one that's more in alignment with your soul, the one that's based more on truth, so that those old doubts and fears go away. So it's all good in the end, but sometimes a little uncomfortable. And
that's why they call it a leap of faith, right? And that's the trust of the unseen or the unknown, and just exactly what you're talking about. Leaning on, trusting on a new foundation and taking a leap of faith. I work with people all the time talking about that, changing your belief system, changing your way of thinking, and it's been interesting for the spiritual path even I've been on, as we get more in our higher self and mindfulness of our surroundings. It's almost like we want to be around people even less at times. So the tribe, that circle of influence that they talk about actually becomes smaller, and if you're not used to that, there can be a sense of loneliness, and then it kind of transforms into like, oh, I didn't really need all of these people and stuff around me, and that spiritual path becomes a little bit more enlightened and a little bit more quiet. And Rumi talks about all the time, the more silent you are, the more you actually hear from the universe. And so, yeah, I've noticed that even on my own spiritual journey, that my some of my friends and family that I used to be in connection with a lot more I'm not in connected with as much, and not to because I don't want to. It's just the spiritual path sometimes just requires a lot of isolation, so you can find your higher self and go through that transformation.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. So when you talk about being influenced by other people, that this whole path is about standing in sovereignty. So you're not influenced by other people, other energies, other anything, that you are standing on your own 2 feet with the very powerful wisdom, love, guidance, support from that highest aspect of you, including, the other beings out there that are helping us and supporting us too. But it's you holding yourself up in sovereignty rather than depending on or relying on or being needy of other people to do that for you. Because basically, anytime you do that, you're gonna leave yourself wide open to vulnerability, which is exactly what's supposed to happen. Because then you realize, well, gosh, I can't rely on the outside world, and then it just turns you right back to you, which is exactly the point, I suppose. And on that note, we are going to be taking a 2-minute break, and our first break will be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us. And again, feel free to reach out. This is our time to connect with you and answer your questions.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance. Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
I'm Fidel Nsombo. I was born in a city called Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, inspired listeners, welcome back. This is Inspired Living Radio with Marc and Kim here on the OMTimes Radio Network. This is our monthly open phone line show. So I know a few of you were trying to call in. So if you want to call in right now, please do so. The phone lines are actually open. The Facebook page is taking your posts. The call-in line for the U.S. only is 1-202-570-7057. That is the OMTimes radio call-in line for Inspired Living Radio. We'd love to have a conversation with you. If you want to just call in, say hi. If you want to get a reading, Kim and I are all tuned up, tuned in, ready to rock and roll for the spirit world. And if you're outside of the United States, don't worry. Go to our Facebook page, Inspired Living Radio. Ask to join the Inspired Listening community of 1,100 plus Inspired listeners. Post your questions, say hi. We'll give you a shout out, and we would love to interact with you right now. This is our way of interacting with the global audience and seeing what's going on in the world. And Kim and I are just going to continue on our conversation, our spiritual chat. There's really, what I love about doing these shows, Kim, is there's really no format. There's no scripting or plan. It's kind of like doing a mediumship demonstration. You stand up and you're not sure what you're going to say. And sometimes I like doing the improv shows. We don't have anything. We're just kind of just improv and winging it. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's where you get your best inspiration. And why not? We're Inspired Living Radio.
Well, that's true, Mark. I don't know, though, on the mediumship stuff, it's always like, oh, gosh, please, somebody come through. So I'm not up here alone. Anyways, I just
and then to add, paying customers to it, if you've got people that have paid to see it, there's even a little bit more pressure. But you know what? It ties into what you were talking about, that higher self and that transformation that takes place. I've found in my journey that even just doing mediumship, that trust factor, getting out of our own way and showing up and trusting the spirit world. I've got a conference coming up on Monday where I'm speaking in front of like 130 plus people at this. It's actually a credit union conference that I've been invited in to speak to. And I'll tell you, Kim, the hardest thing is I'm going to do a demonstration, talk about my journey and some of the, my own near-death experience and the death and dying that I experienced that put me on the path of spiritualism and being a medium. But I don't have any plans or scripting. It's kind of that improv. And I've found that the spirit world, if you lean on them, if you trust them, and you develop, spiritual development's a big part of this as well. It just doesn't happen overnight. This is a journey of, 12 plus years in the making. But some amazing things can come through and you can really connect in. So we're back to that trust factor.
Yeah, Mark, I tell you, good for you. Boy, that's exciting. But boy, okay, you're really going up there. Well, I'll tell you what, I always find that mediumship is one thing that you have no choice with mediumship but to trust. Otherwise, it just ain't going to happen. It's like, if you want to test your trust, go into mediumship. It's kind of a funny thing, but that is, just the path of spirituality is all about trust and believing in yourself. Believing in yourself. Now, I wouldn't mind sharing a situation that came up with me the other week where, I'm getting stronger and stronger at that because I'm going through enough experiences that show me, hey, you know what? My higher self does have my back. And I can always know, even though there may be old unconscious beliefs around fear, whatever it is, I ultimately know my higher self has my back and won't lead me astray. But that's not always an easy thing because the other week I noticed that I was put in a situation where that I was challenged in that way, and I chose to doubt myself. Instead of believing in myself, I chose to doubt myself. And it's almost going to bring me to tears just saying that, because I was so like, and this isn't about judging, judging yourself in that process, but sure. I felt almost like I let myself down in some way, because it was like, I know enough to know that that my higher self had my back, and yet the human side of me, and I'm going to cry as I say this, the human side of me kicked in, And it was like, whoa, I can't believe I just did that to me. I cannot believe I just did that to me. So it's a very, it's a very heartfelt kind of thing to go through. And I realized that just the other day. I said, whoa, that experience I had was there to teach me something and to add to my own inner strength and my own trust and belief. And I made a different choice.
Well, I was just going to ask, did you learn from the, I know it sounds painful, I can hear it in your voice, but did you learn and move forward from that experience?
Well, I did, but still, I thought I'd learned enough to know not to do that.
Yeah. That's the beauty of learning, though, right?
I thought I'd had enough experiences under my belt not to do that. But apparently I didn't. But this was a big one for me. This experience was a big one for me. And, that's the thing. When you think you know, and your universe is going to test you again, and then you get to really find out where you fall on your beliefs. So, that was a painful thing for me to, recognize. I was like, wow, I can't believe I did that. I did that to me. Like, because our higher selves is just pure love. It's like a parent cradling a baby in the purest love possible. The purest love would never lead you astray, would never put you in a situation that wasn't good for you, would never not have your back, would never lead you down the wrong path, would never leave you alone. But yet, that I doubted that in that moment.
Yeah, but one of the key takeaways I just heard you say is you were aware of it. And awareness, Eckhart Tolle talks about this all the time, that some of the greatest agents for change is through the power of awareness. Now, when we don't have that awareness and we, repeat and we repeat and we continue on, there's some people in life, some of my clients, some of the people I work with, some family members that continue to do this repeat pattern. What we resist persists until we become aware of it and start to learn from it. And I always remind folks, and I'll remind our inspired listeners, that life for me is the acronym that I use is learn it from experience. And just when you think you know it all, you learn something new. And then the spiritual path, the higher self, is not always rainbows and unicorns and feel good. I've learned that the hard way. I'm going to be spiritual path, and it can actually be quite, challenging because you're going through. We've been talking about this the last few weeks, and kind of get your thoughts on this, Kim. About in the past, you always had to be in the light, and you wouldn't recognize the dark night of the soul, some of the darkness that we go through, some of the twilight that takes place between the dark and the light. But a lot of current, spiritual leaders, meditation practices, even the last Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi, focused in on it's okay to sometimes embrace that darkness, because the darkness doesn't mean, again, this is going to be tied to your belief system, of course, but through the darkness, a lot of good things can come out of that. If you think of plants begin where? In darkness. They begin in, the soil, and it's dark, and they start to have this transformation and grow, and then into the light. And then, the plant dies and it recycles, and the cycle starts over again. So embracing who you are fully, both through the light and the dark and the twilight that takes place, is something that we've been talking about the last few weeks. So I figured we maybe bring it up today and talk about it today.
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, that's the, you almost can't ignore the darker aspects. Because you can't, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, because it's always going to resurface to show you what it is you need to see about that, or that contrast is going to become greater as it's meant to, so that it draws your attention to where your attention needs to be on the aspects that need to be resolved back into love, really, and unified within yourself. But people sometimes want to suppress their emotions. They want to not deal with it, the unpleasantries of that. They'd rather, just focus on just having fun, or whatever the case is, look the other way. And you won't be able to do that forever. You might be able to bypass it for a little bit and have a few fun times, but it's going to come back, because it's the way it's meant to. We're not meant to come into this life to not resolve anything within ourselves. We're meant to do that here, but also experience beautiful aspects of life too. But that darkness, it's good. Just like the other night when I woke up in the middle of the night, I recognized the fear. Instead of like, well, let me just shift to positivity and think about something good. No, it's like I got to recognize where's that coming from? Why is it there? Because those feelings come up to show us things. They just to come up and be let go, get out of us, our body, so that we can clear up that real estate within ourselves and bring in new experiences and higher ways of being. And so, I encourage people to really take a look at those aspects of themselves. It's only through that you could then let it go. Let it go. Otherwise, it keeps popping up its ugly head, and it's there for a reason. Now, we have a question that's come in. Mark, I'll read it, and you can I'll add on to what it is you get around here. Hold on here. I just, of course, lost my space as I was talking, but it is about, this person wants to know if, would you see what you pick up regarding a possible move overseas or not, and if my employer could potentially outsource me to overseas? Now, and this is from P.A. Rodriguez.
Okay.
Yes.
I know Paula in Florida. Hi, Paula.
Yes, Paula.
Thanks for tuning in today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So traveling abroad definitely feels right to me. I do feel that
this is a move she's asking about.
Yeah, the international, because I see the plane going over the pond of the Atlantic Ocean. So when I'm seeing that through the clairvoyance, which is the third eye, that leads me to believe and trusting. Again, we've been talking about trust and the work that we do as psychics, right? The work we do as mediums, the work as we do as inspired spiritual leaders. For you, Paula, this is a plane flight that does take you over the Atlantic. And I am seeing that start to manifest. Actually, plans are being formulated. There are moving parts where this will take place, particularly around the UK, Italy, getting into maybe even the south of France. That area is where I'm drawn to for the move. And then what was the second half of the question, Kim?
Oh, she's saying, or if her employer would potentially outsource her to overseas. So whether she's the one who's moving overseas or if her position is being outsourced.
Outsourced overseas. Yes to both. I could see an outsourcing. Now, an outsourcing for her to go overseas? Am I understanding that correct?
I think, no, outsourcing her job to somebody overseas.
Her job,
somebody else takes her position overseas.
I see.
Is how I'm interpreting that.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to actually go to my spiritual deck and pull a card on that. So I pulled the giving and receiving card, which has a number 6, which is all about self-love. The giving and receiving, by giving up the opportunity to travel abroad and live internationally, there's a lot of experiences that would be missed. The outsourcing of the job does not feel right, especially what's going on here in the United States about actually not outsourcing as much and trying to bring jobs back into the United States. There's always been a discussion over the last couple of years about outsourcing of jobs, but really jobs are going away because of technology, AI, robotics, a lot of the jobs that are disappearing. So the outsourcing, I'm not sure what the industry is or what kind of work it would be, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be outsourced, and it actually would stay here. But I actually could see you, Paula, leaving that job because of the trip or the new location overseas that would give you a new opportunity, possibly with the same industry, of doing work across the Atlantic Ocean without it being outsource. So maybe you become your own outsource and you leave the position here in the United States. You fly over and you take a job over there, and you're now the outsourced position. What are you picking up, Kim?
Yeah, interesting, Mark. It's like it didn't come through like right away for me as kind of like, what's going on here? And I don't feel like it's if they I don't feel like I see you moving overseas for this company. And I feel like if you were to, you wouldn't it wouldn't be something that I feel like you would be happy about, or that would create bring in happiness. I feel like that's the way I can't say much more to that. I don't see you moving over there with this company. And if you did, I don't feel like it would be what would make you happy. The position, where it is, everything about it. So, and I feel just a strong pull back to where it is you are right now. So that's the way it's coming through for me. That's the way it's coming through. Now, I do feel like when I connect with you, I feel like your soul is pretty adventurous and would welcome a new adventure. Oh, okay. See, this is how it, for me, a lot of times is like pulling the pieces of a puzzle together.
Kim is tuning in. She's aligning.
Yeah. Okay, I'm like, here we go. Okay. So I feel like this, because I do feel like your soul is adventurous. I feel like it would welcome a new type of experience like this. And I feel like this particular situation with your work, where that possibility is coming up, is getting you to is getting you to think about that and think about avenues in which you could bring that experience into your life. I'm going to continue this, and when we come back, stay with us in two minutes. We'll be back.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Tune in to The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
America's service members and veterans are strong, forged out of bravery, sacrifice, and duty. Sometimes reaching out for help can be the most challenging and worthwhile mission of all. When you recognize something isn't right, make the call to the Veterans Crisis Line or Military Crisis Line. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Marc and Kim. And so before we went to break, Marc and I were giving some guidance to our listener Paula, who was asking about a potential move overseas. So Paula, just to continue on with my thoughts here. Again, I don't see a move with your company. I feel like the reason why this came up for you is more so to think about the possibilities of that, because I feel like your soul would like to travel and have these new experiences. So it's in place to kind of spark those thoughts within you, and how it is you can bring that into your experience. I don't feel like it's going to be with this particular company, but that was the purpose that this particular situation served, is to get you to start thinking about that. So anyways, I hope that you find that helpful, and you'll have to keep us posted. You'll have to keep us posted on that. So, you know what? I just want to bring something up around that, unless you'd have something else to comment on, Marc.
No, that's just thank you for the question, Paula. And again, if you want to call in right now, the phone lines are open. This show is dedicated to you, our inspired listening community. The number to call in the United States, 1-202-570-7057. We are taking your calls live right now, so give us a call or post a question.
Yeah, it looks like we had 2 callers that were on the line and then dropped off, so we're still available if you'd like to call back. But I'm going to just share an experience I had recently, and I log into some of these directories, and I do immediate readings, just like I know you do too, Marc. And like just as I was asking or tuning in to Paula, it was like when I was connecting with her soul, I feel like her soul would like to travel and experience new cultures and things like that. I had a person call in the other day, and I was doing a reading, and that person had asked a question. I said, well, let me just check in with what I connect to at the soul level. And this person got so upset, and they said, it has nothing to do with my soul. This has nothing to do with my soul. Click. And I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, this person was going through a lot of their own difficulties and challenges in their own life, but this lifetime has everything to do with our soul. If we don't acknowledge that part of us, life is going to be really difficult. So that's what I just want to say, is that when we're not in alignment with our soul, it's like we're swimming upstream. Things are difficult. It's hard for things to fall into place. It becomes a struggle. So for that reason, I want to encourage everyone to think about that. Well, gosh, what does my soul want to do here? I know that this is a big situation here, or a relationship or whatever you might be struggling with. Well, let's just, I encourage you to check in with your soul, see what's going on with your soul. What does your soul want to do? What does your soul have to, guidance your soul have to offer? When you start listening, things will ease up. You'll be living with a lot more ease.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kim, with those call-in directories, because it is a psychic directory, Kim and I are part of 2 directories where we've been tested and validated and are vetted for the work that we do. So when people call in, it's interesting because he or she is calling into a psychic directory, and the root word of the word psychic actually means of the soul. So, based on you just saying soul triggered something for that caller for them to hang up. But when they look at the root word itself, it literally means you're calling somebody because they're a psychic, the working of the soul. Now, in this day and age, the word psychic can, have a lot of different connotations and meanings, but the true work, you're right, Kim, is working through the soul. Some call it the soul, some call it the etheric being, some call it your human energy force. I mean, it just depends on where you're raised in the world and what belief system, again, coming to that belief system. But if you've never experienced your own soul, I know that I have personally with the training and spiritual development that I've done, and I've actually tuned into my etheric body, which is quite amazing. Some people don't even realize that they have more than just a physical body, an emotional body, a mental body, a spiritual body, an energetic body. We're pretty amazing creatures as Homo sapiens, where we are made up, physical, spiritual beings first, coming here to have a physical experience.
Yeah, well, gosh, I just learned something new. I had no idea that that's where psychic embodied that meaning.
It's not psychosis. Sometimes you feel like that.
I feel like that, yeah.
Psychicus. It's the Latin word of psychicus. I don't think I'm saying it right, but if you look at the root words, and I think the meaning of something is very important. Why we even say the things that we do. But yeah, those psychic directories, for our listeners out there, the difference between what we've been talking about today, the psychic journey is more about life, career, love, maybe some roadsides along the roads of life that you're traveling, versus mediumship, where that's actually connecting to the essence and memory of somebody that is no longer in the physical body, but their etheric soul, their soul body has moved on into a different unseen world here in the physical world. And that is the difference between connecting, I would say, through those directories. I probably do about 95% psychic and then 5% mediumship. So are you about the same?
Yeah, it might even be less than that on the mediumship side, which is fine with me. I prefer not to do mediumship on those directories where they're paying by the minute, because for me anyways, I need to not feel rushed connecting in with a soul that has passed. It's the same kind of thing. It's like pieces of the puzzle coming together, the story build and all that. And I know time is money for people. And so, to feel rushed when you're rushed as the medium, it can block the flow of energy. So I prefer not to do it in that space. But, just in my general business anyways, most people don't come to me for mediumship. They come to me for other things. Although I don't know what's going on. It's like the ebbs and flows of life is always amazing, but I've gotten all kinds of mediumship readings in the next 2 weeks. It's like, what is going on? It's weird. Strange.
Yeah, the mediumship, I take it more personally, and I do a lot of in-person readings and video through Zoom and phone, and I like to spend that time with that person, especially if it's mediumship. The call-in directory, I usually try to refer them. I can usually get something pretty quick because that's that trust and spiritual development that's been taking place over the years. But I do, for the respect out of the spirit world, ask them to book a in-person session with me, or a longer session, so we can focus and get to some of the healing that takes place for them, for the spirit on the other side, and even me as a medium that's bringing the communications through. There's a lot of healing that takes place. So. It's very interesting work, both mediumship, soul work, psychic work. I got into mediumship because I wanted to connect back with my brothers and all my loved ones. So it's just a very interesting journey that we're all on. But connecting to your higher self is definitely important. Spiritual development's important. Asking a lot of questions, because we are so wise as humans, as Homo sapiens. The word sapien indicates wise, but at the same time, I sometimes wonder about us if we're really that wise.
Well, can I rephrase that, Mark?
Sure.
The spirit of us, within us is wise. The human ego, forget it.
Yeah.
That'll put us all over the edge, as it does. We gotta learn to work around it, or work, but learn how to work with it.
And I guess it's that learning aspect, right? You look at a child and all of the mistakes that you make as a child, and through your mistakes, and I always like to say, the word failure is first attempt in learning to begin with. And it's kind of like the same with humans. As your spiritual path, it's like we're young children learning to crawl before we walk and learning to walk before we run. And that you're right, that ego that you have to have, to survive a little bit in this world, but having to know how to manage that and know that the ego is not always right, doesn't need to be right, doesn't always need to be in control. That's part of the learning journey as well, and that transformation of moving from the caterpillar through the cocoon phase, which can be a tough place, a dark place. Maybe we were talking about the darkness, the twilight that takes place, that eventually, the caterpillar becomes the butterfly and has comes out into light, has wings, changes its body, and has a whole different perspective.
Yeah, that's right. Although I did some interesting channeling work the other day, which I'm gonna be putting out. So I work sometimes with the Galactic Council of Light, and whenever they come through, they like to share their wisdom on the new Earth and higher consciousness and stuff. And they were talking about the ego is going to be retired, like an old racehorse that humans deem not usable.
I like that.
Yeah. I know. I could never come up with that myself. I was like, what is this? My goodness. Okay, that's kind of powerful. Because the more we all raise in consciousness, we're coming from love, and we are love, and that's the place by which it is we're living. We're not going to need it so much anymore. It becomes irrelevant. It serves a purpose in the world that.
Yeah, it really does. You're right.
That we live in today in the 3D world. But when you start talking about moving into the fifth dimensional new Earth, it's like, the thought, I feel that it's going to disappear because it's not going to serve a purpose anymore. That's kind of what came through in the channeled work that I did. And then I thought, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But
and we've had a couple episodes on that, the new Earth, where, former guests of the show has a book, has talked about the new Earth and the transformation, that's taken place.
Yeah, yes, I'd like to have more people, guests come on that talk about just that multidimensional new Earth and what's available to us today if we choose to live our life in that way. Because I feel like people need to know there's more than what they're seeing out there on the Earth today, and but it does require that we raise our consciousness in order to experience some of these new realities that new Earth offer us. But it gives it's just so hopeful and encouraging and all of these things, but then it'll always come back to we got to do the work to get there. So I hope that I can be a part in sharing that message and getting that message out there, because there's so much more than what we're seeing today in the 3D world.
Well, I think for the show, that's why we do the show, right? Is to not only just inspire people, but to educate along the ways we're learning. I mean, the month ahead for May, we have some pretty fantastic topics coming up. We've got, a neurosurgeon talking about the mindful universe. We've got, another guest that's talking about how life works as far as why happy people are more successful and how you can be like them. We've got crystal healing coming up with the Crystal Muse. We've got energy healing, in the months ahead. We're booked out until the middle of July with just fantastic topics and amazing guests that come on to our show. But I was thinking, before we run out of time, because the time goes by so quick. So thank you for your questions. And again, if you have questions for Kim and I after the live show is over, please go to our Facebook page, post a question. If you catch an encore show, post a question. We'll be happy to respond to you, answer that question. But I'm just thinking, that transformation that you're talking about, Kim, we're like iPhones. I have the iPhone 6, and then we now have the iPhone 8. And as we progress, and we have all these different applications that we're running as humans, and these learning experiences, just imagine what the iPhone 15 is going to look like. Imagine what the human species, 2.0 as we transform and learn along the way. It's just kind of like running all these applications. I was talking with a colleague about that, and that's, if you look at yourself as an iPhone, energy, frequency, vibration, with the ability to be upgraded every so often, you start to have some amazing experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And my hope is that sometimes people don't know we don't know what we don't know. So that's, to be able to share that message with people who are unaware of that. And I'll give an example, just a quick example, because we're getting out of time. But the other day I was talking to my husband about, I've been seeing this repetitive number, and he's like, oh, that's so interesting, because every time I look at the clock, I've noticed it's 11:11, like in the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is huge. You know what that means? We had no idea, and anyways, it's just through sharing of information and being exposed to new ways of thinking and things to consider that it can open up a whole new world, because he had no idea what 11:11 meant, but it was enough to catch his attention,
Or your experience with the snake, right? Numbers,
yes.
Nature, sign symbols, synchronistic events, it's all there if you're aware to it. We're out of time. All right, inspired listeners, thanks for hanging out. So we'll see you next week. All right, have a great week, everyone. Until our next soul adventure, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.